Charles Leclerc spins! A spin on the opening lap, a spin on the final lap, and both times the drivers kept it out of the wall. Lewis Hamilton is slower by a tenth. The grip faded from the Ferrari man.
Lap 1, Miami. The race hasn't even begun, and Ferrari is already finished. Not because of a crash, not because of a fire, not because of a blown tire or a botched pit stop, because of something that cameras couldn't see, something the crowd couldn't hear, something even Hamilton didn't fully understand yet, sitting inside a car that had already stopped being a Formula One machine. Here's the question nobody is asking. How does a team bring 11 new parts to Miami, top practice, score a sprint podium, and still leave the weekend looking like they never showed up? And why did Ferrari's own engineers know the race was over before turn 3 of lap 1? What we found in the data changes everything. To understand Miami, you have to go back to what Ferrari actually brought to this race. 11 new components. Front floor reprofiled, floor edge redesigned, brand new diffuser, re-sculpted bodywork around the gearbox, revised rear suspension geometry, new beam wing, new end plates. This wasn't a small update. Teams bring packages this size maybe 2 times in an entire season. Ferrari brought it all at once to Miami, and Friday, it worked. Hamilton topped practice. Leclerc finished 3rd in the sprint. The SF26 was the quickest car through the corner-heavy sectors. Not 3rd quickest, not 4th, the quickest. The sector splits don't lie. But then the straights happened. Every single time the SF26 pointed down a straight, it bled speed. Not a little, 0.3 per lap gone, consistently, session after session, driver after driver. The telemetry showed it immediately. The energy deployment software, the system controlling when and how the electric motor delivers its power, was pulling back too early, holding charge in the battery cells that should have been converted into kilowatts at the rear axle. Ferrari had a name for it, superclipping. But that was just the start, because while Ferrari was fighting a software war they hadn't yet won, the race weekend threw something far more brutal at Lewis Hamilton.
What was going on and where it went away from you today?
My mistake.
I felt like we would have been more competitive.
Disappointed with myself. The last lap mistake is obviously all on me, and
Wrong position for that, and then
ended in the wall, and that's
the
it.
damage that I got after that, then I had nothing.
Heading to turn 11. Oh, Charles Leclerc spins! Made to sweat for it, but held firm.
Turn 3, lap 1. A chaotic start. Positions changing, margins disappearing. Hamilton modifies his line to avoid an incident. He loses momentum, he's exposed, and in that fraction of a second, contact. No explosion, no debris, no dramatic image of disaster, just a touch and then silence from the car sensors. For about 4 seconds. Then the data started coming in, and inside Ferrari's garage, the atmosphere changed completely. The engineers didn't wait several laps. They didn't debate. The radio message was immediate, cold, and definitive. There is nothing we can do. Floor damage, side pod damage, both simultaneously, both critical. Here's what that actually means. The floor generates the majority of aerodynamic load on these cars. It channels air at extreme speed underneath to create the suction effect that pins the car to the track. The side pod redirects airflow toward the rear, feeding the diffuser, keeping the rear wing efficient. Damage both of those zones simultaneously? You don't have a slower car, you have a fundamentally different machine, one that no longer exists within its designed aerodynamic window. The engineers confirmed it, 10 to 15 points of downforce, gone, instantly, permanently. Here's where the moment that changes how you see this entire weekend. Ferrari knew 3 things simultaneously. The upgrade package worked in the corners. The deployment software was costing 0.3 on every straight. And now, Hamilton's car was operating completely outside its aerodynamic map. The entire pre-race simulation, the setup, the strategy, rendered meaningless by a touch that left no visible mark. 3 crises, 1 weekend, 1 team. And this is where Fred Vasseur and the FIA story becomes impossible to ignore. because while Hamilton was managing a broken car with no solution, Leclerc was on the other side of the garage, fighting a different war. Final lap, tires worn, track damp from light rain, pressure building from behind. Leclerc pushed. He went beyond track limits, not once, multiple times. And because the race ended before Ferrari could tell him to surrender the position, the FIA stepped in after the checkered flag. Drive-through penalty converted to 20 seconds. 6th place became 8th. The stewards showed zero hesitation, zero consideration for the conditions, zero leniency for the final lap chaos. 9 penalties handed out across the Miami weekend, zero tolerance, maximum punishment every time. And Ferrari collected the biggest one. Now the picture is complete, and it is not a pretty one. Hamilton raced an aerodynamically broken car for 50-plus laps, losing time on every single corner because the load was gone, unable to brake properly, unable to sustain speed through medium-fast curves, unable to trust traction on exit. Not because he made a mistake, but because the most fragile systems in modern F1 were destroyed by contact that didn't even make the highlights. Leclerc lost 2 positions he earned on the final lap in a moment of desperation that the FIA treated as premeditated advantage. And the 11 new parts, the most ambitious upgrade package on the entire grid, they worked. The corner data proved it. But 3/10 were locked behind broken software on every straight, and by the time the race was over, nobody was talking about sector times anymore. The consequences extend beyond Miami. Every rival team now has a blueprint: push Ferrari late, make them defend, force them to the limit, because Miami proved that when Ferrari reaches that limit, they break. Not the car, the system. The software that wasn't ready, the aerodynamic fragility that costs everything from a single invisible touch, the penalty environment where one wrong decision rewrites your entire race result after the flag. This wasn't just a bad weekend, it was a warning. Scenario 1. Ferrari fixes the deployment software before the European season. The SF26 finally runs with full power and 11 new parts. And suddenly, the car that topped practice in Miami becomes the car that challenges for poles in Barcelona. Scenario 2. The software gap persists. McLaren's upgrade compounds. The points difference grows race by race, not dramatically, not in one crash, but quietly, steadily, irreversibly. Scenario 3. Leclerc carries Miami into every late race battle that follows. That hesitation, push, or surrender costs him 1 position, then 2, then a championship that was decided not in a single moment, but across 20 races of accumulated doubt. Can Ferrari fix code before the season slips away? Or is the SF26's real problem not software, not aerodynamics, but a team that keeps arriving to the fight 1 step behind? The parts worked, the data was there, the pace was real. But in Formula One, real isn't enough. Perfect is the only currency that matters. And in Miami 2026, Ferrari was everything except that.